Hello, I'm MPX Toycat, and I have some interesting Minecraft 1.18 news to answer your question, Austin Wampler, because he asks, are we going to get amplified worlds on Bedrock? And it's crazy because 1.18 so far has removed amplified worlds. We'd heard nothing about amplified, it was just assumed that amplified was being rolled into the regular generation, and when you look at how Caves and Cliffs generation can look, it kind of makes sense. But today we heard from Henrik Nyberg, who is kind of the head of the changes that are happening in the generation in Minecraft 1.18, and he said he's experimenting with what amplified might mean in the context of 1.18 world gen. And looking at this left screenshot right here, honestly, it kind of just looks like natural 1.18 terrain, but looking on the right, you can see that, like, yeah, when you see him in this mesa of all these towering hills that kind of climb up and turn into almost islands, this is what I'm talking about when I'm thinking of amplified. And as we all know, even though there's a lot of features that exist in Minecraft Java, that they're having a hard time getting over to Bedrock and have been delayed time and time again, stuff like custom superflats or the spectral arrows, things that existed before Bedrock even was meant to be a unified version of the game, those features they have a hard time with, but basically everything they add in new updates, they try to make the same across both versions. So the short answer to the question, will they be adding amplified to Bedrock, is it's finally a lot more likely because they're re-adding it to Java, which means it's a fresh opportunity to add that world gen to Bedrock now that both Java and Bedrock have the same seed engine. Also, by the way, I just love this because Henrik Nyberg is one of the newer Minecraft developers that are kind of well known, and it's kind of fun because someone responded, FPS gun, and he said yes, very beefy computer would be needed, which is of course a reference to the fact that amplified requires a air quotes beefy computer. And yeah, I just love that Henrik Nyberg gets in the little community in jokes. Speaking of community in jokes, okay, to be fair, when's the last time anyone's seen a silverfish in real life? This was in response to a Minecraft meme I posted about how Minecraft is always trying to add fictional mobs as the enemies of the game, and then for some reason we have silverfish as one of them. And here's the craziest thing, I had never seen a silverfish in my life. I only learned they were real like 5 years ago when I was researching a Minecraft video. They look kind of horrifying in real life, and then when I moved into this new house just a couple of months ago, I found a silverfish in the sink. It was really horrifying. I was actually close to calling an exterminator because I hear you really don't want to have silverfish, they eat wood or something. It doesn't seem like a good thing. Speaking of things that don't seem like a good thing, Paul Marco asks, can we just get a more powerful and annoying Phantom please? And thank God someone's finally asking. I feel like the biggest problem with the Phantom is it's not annoying enough. I feel like it should be spawning all the time, day or night. It should be annoying you all of the time. It should have more damage, and obviously, most critically, it should be more powerful and big. And interestingly, on that last point, so Samael, who is a lead audio engineer on Minecraft, actually tweeted out something interesting saying, special file cabinet, scrap design. When designing the Phantom, I thought it was a bigger creature than it turned out to be, had to redo size and rethink the design. Here's V1, scary. So this is, just to clarify, the original Phantom was thought to be much bigger than the version we ended up getting, and here's what it would have sounded like. Okay, that's kind of weird. Honestly, it just sounds like a dinosaur. Can we all agree on that? I feel like we can. I think that was the creepiest one, though. I cannot get over that. There is a whole ton of unreleased audio files that actually, fun fact, Samael has been releasing, such as the first ever Minecraft Dungeons music. Just as a fun fact, I think it's cool that we get to hear about the insights of these parts of the game that you might not think about, because of course, now in the modern Microsoft era, there are people dedicated to all of, like, several people dedicated to just the audio design. There are people dedicated to just the textures, like Jappa, and yeah, it's always cool to see some of the things that didn't quite make it, because imagine if we had gone with a Phantom that was more like a dinosaur that could swoop down and get you in that way, it would have been interesting. Thinking of things that would have been interesting, Dr. Anshel Korsic says, am I the only one who uses a compass? And this is because in basically every video where I talk about useless items, I call out the compass because you don't need a compass to find the spawn point in your world. You just have to die or invite a friend, or even better yet, just go towards the lower coordinates. But I think this is, I realized this recently, this is a very Bedrock mindset. I realized this when Java players were talking about how, like, you don't need a glare, you can just use F3. And ignoring that the F3 menu looks like a mess, here it is, by the way, if you're a Bedrock player and you've never seen it before, the F3 menu looks like a mess. There's just so much going on and it's hard to look at. You know, obviously, most Bedrock players don't have access to the F3 menu because it's only enabled on the developer versions, which most people aren't allowed access to. And so the reverse version of that I realized as a result of being on the other side was that, yeah, obviously, even though Bedrock has such easy access to coordinates, they're on screen at all times, on Java you have to press F3 and then that little corner, and, like, you know, like, it's not a very fun interface for looking at coordinates, so most most people don't do it as often, and so yeah, using the compass does make more sense when you're in Java, or if you're playing Bedrock and you've set your spawn point somewhere that isn't home and your spawn was like thousands of blocks away, which it can be. In that situation, use a compass. But even then, it's like, I feel like the only real way to use a compass is to use it with a lodestone, so it points specifically at something. But that's just my opinion. Speaking of my opinion, I actually tweet out every single week saying if you have questions for Q&A Saturday, to ask it in response to this tweet. And like obviously, a lot of these questions come from Twitter, at IBXToycat, by the way. You can find those tweets once a week. And the first question from Twitter is this one from a Gaming Fox, who asks, so with you being able to drive now, what is your biggest fear? It's still spiders. Sorry to break it to you. Speaking of questions from Twitter, Jackie Ann asks, when do you think 1.18 will release? My guess is close to Thanksgiving. Minecraft 1.18 is basically finished now. We see new snapshots every week, and they add very little, and then we see new betas every week, but they're mostly focusing on 1.19 at this point. I think 1.18 is as good as done. We're not seeing any new features. I was so enthusiastic that maybe they'd add something secret at the last minute as just like yeah, don't worry, the update's bigger than you think. But yeah, 1.18 is probably going to release sooner rather than later. They don't need to add the Warden or the Deep Dark anymore because that's been delayed, and so as soon as they get it finished bug fixing, I imagine their actual goal is the end of November, the start of December. Minecraft always tries to get a holiday update in. The boost it brings to sales, the boost it brings to publicity of Minecraft, it's just a good thing for the game overall, and of course that'll be the same on both Java and Bedrock. What is the most likely release date in December? I love to do this, so let's look at a calendar. I think Tuesday is the day they tend to release these updates, and so Tuesday the 30th of November or the 7th of December, they're the 2 days I'm looking in right now. That could change. I think we're going to see the big announcement super soon, so if you want the official confirmed whatever release date, that is coming incredibly soon. But for now, Thanksgiving / early December. I mean, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving in the UK and or Sweden, and so that's not really a big thing. But yeah, it's something you can make notes of. Also, just to go back to the question here, look how Jackie Ann has a toy cat long boy in her profile picture. You know what? Big points for that. Speaking of big points, is there anything you think that Caves and Cliffs got wrong? Also, what's the story behind the owl on your Twitter profile picture? So the short answer to that second question is there was an owl on my shoulder, and so I took a picture, and I liked the picture, and I just haven't, I'm not taking so many pictures of myself that I can update one without specifically trying to go for it. And what do I think Caves and Cliffs got wrong? Honestly, I will say this over and 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 over again. Why did they only add 2 biomes? We've had 2 cave updates now, and the grand total we're going to end up with is 2. The dripstone caves are interesting, don't get me wrong. Lush caves are a great source of clay and some other lush blocks that people are using. I love that you can use moss and grass together. Like, there are interesting new blocks there, but why did they stop at 2? When they realized the Deep Dark was gonna be delayed, which they obviously made that decision long before Minecon Live, they've had months on this, why did they not think we need a 3rd biome? Even 3 was a ludicrously low number of biomes. The only thing that made it exciting was the Deep Dark was gonna be massive. I can't get over just what a fail it is that they listened to the community, that we wanted a cave update, then they focused so much more on cliffs that when the cave update got close to releasing, they're like, oh god, we can't actually make one of the biomes we promised, and now there's only 2 of them, and I'm sorry, we'll do better next time. And so yeah, when people ask me what update I want 1.19 to be, my answer is a cave update. I don't think they've done the community worthwhile, and I think this proves an interesting point about development of basically any creative project. When you're not passionate about an idea, when you're just doing it like to fulfill other people, you're not always going to have the greatest of drive and push and whatnot. I feel like the Never update was something the developers wanted to do, and they did an amazing job with it. Whereas with the Cave and Cliffs update, I've always felt like they're phoning it in, like, I guess we have to release this soon, but let's take out the bundles, let's take out the Warden, let's take out the Deep Dark, and, I feel like 2 new cave types is enough to call it a cave update. It's an amazing cliff update, it's an amazing overworld update. They way over-delivered on the cliffs, in my opinion, obviously if you ignore the goat, but they way did a good job on the cliffs, but it was like, but the caves, wasn't that the thing that we were going for? Didn't you reveal it as a cave up? Oh, whatever. Anyway, so that said, do you think they'll remove the stronghold and instead put the Ender Portal in the middle of the Deep Dark cities to make it harder to go to the end? This is a really good idea, JDZ Uzumaki, Jeremil. Jeremy, man, it is so hard to say either your name or your Twitter handle, but this is actually a really cool idea. I do think that there's like some greatness to this. Imagine if instead of having a stronghold, you had to go through the warden and all of the traps and the stealth section of Minecraft mandatorily to go to the end. That would be so cool. The reason I don't think they're going to do it is because Minecraft rarely messes with existing structures. I don't think we've ever seen a structure removed outside of the early alpha days. You remember the brick pyramid? You don't, because it's so old and it was only in one version of Minecraft. So yeah, do I think that they'll remove the stronghold? Definitely not. Will they move the end portal to the deep dark? And I feel like probably not too, because if they did that, even though it would make the journey to the end much more satisfying, assuming you're not a speedrunner, of course, it would make the stronghold just the world's most useless like structure. Without an end portal, why do you go to the stronghold? I mean, the library is there, which actually is kind of cool, but the whole point of it is that it leads to the end portal, in my opinion. Maybe you could link the stronghold into the deep dark, or, you know, I feel like there's some ideas there, but I think it is a bit too bold and risky for Minecraft to do, but I'd love to be wrong. Speaking of things I'd love to be wrong about, Solaris, this is a great question, because is your creative world coming to IBX Toy Maps? Speaking of which, also promo opportunity, if you want to get something that previously cost money for free, and you have a Realms Plus subscription, go to Realms Plus right now, and you can download Scorched for free. It's actually Minecraft is paying for it. I don't understand how much they're paying me for it. I still don't know. But if you download it, I think I get some amount of money, and I'm probably legally allowed to say that. And so here's the great bit. You don't have to pay for a Realm subscription to get a Realm subscription. You get your first 30 days for free. So if you would like to, if you've not used the Realms trial yet, you can get the free 30-day subscription, use that to download Scorched, and I believe once you've downloaded the map, it's yours to keep. I don't know how that works. But long story short, yeah, IBX Toy Maps, you can get a free map for the next few months. But on the opposite topic, you know, speaking of my creative world coming to the marketplace, a few people have asked me for this, and I do think it's a good idea, but I don't know if enough people want it. I mean, the Let's Play world is iconic. Everyone wanted to explore that. It's still the best-selling thing I've ever put up there to this day. Like, I'm glad that people are enjoying it. It's a very fun thing, and thank you to everyone who has checked out the world, and I do intend to continue updating that. But the creative world is a bit more vintage, because I don't make the same videos I used to, if you ignore that 5 weird features that have gotten better in the last 5 years video. But most of my videos are made in survival, because that's my bread and butter these days, it seems. And so, yeah, the creative world is huge. I've stitched together so many different creative worlds from different projects. It's amazing to look at. I want to tour it sometime, honestly, because it's like, it's such a big thing to show up. But I worry that, like, fewer people are as interested, because you'd have to have been subscribed for a few years. So let me know in the comments down below. Is that something you're interested in? Should I go? Because, you know, it's not as easy as just upload it to the marketplace. We have to not only make it something that I would like to sell, but then we have to meet the marketplace guidelines, and then we have to go through all of the strenuous processes where someone looks at it and then they say, ooh, actually, we'd like it if you spelled your signs slightly differently, because this isn't in keeping with the marketplace style guideline. You know, I'm just saying, like, if you want that, I think it's a cool idea. I've wanted it. But I wonder if anyone else wants it. Speaking of things you don't want, how do you back up worlds on mobile devices? Here is how you back up a world on any device. Go to your world, press the edit button on the side, scroll down, and press that copy world button that is on screen right now. Wow, you can do that on any Minecraft Bedrock device. If you want to be extra secure and you're not on mobile, I mean, if you're on mobile, you can work out how to go through your Android folders and find the world and upload it somewhere else, just in case your phone breaks or something. But what I would recommend doing is putting it on a Realm if you're on mobile, or if you're on a PC, go to the Minecraft world folder, copy paste that, upload it somewhere, boom, now you're secure in a separate place. Do that once a week or once a month, and you'll be fine. Speaking of things, Cosmic Craft YT, when will we get a free new cape on Bedrock? This is a great question, because there is 2 capes for Bedrock right now. I think they're deliberately keeping it at 2. Minecraft, every single year, moves forwards the microtransaction needle just a little bit. Not enough to outrage people, just enough to be like, yeah, this is a thing. 8 years ago, they started selling skin packs, and then, like, 7 years ago, they started selling texture packs and worlds. 5 years ago, they started letting users sell their worlds on the marketplace, with Microsoft, of course, taking a pretty hefty cut. And then, you know, 4 years ago, they started hinting at, like, ooh, but what if you could buy additions to your skin? They added the whole persona system 3 years ago, and in the last year, we've seen emotes, which you can now pay money for, on top of buying all these little skin parts. I think it is a matter of time until capes that are sold come to Bedrock, not because they're necessarily planning right now, it's just a matter of time until someone says, here is a way we could make money, and someone who is in charge of making money at Microsoft goes, yes, I would like to make money. Funnily enough, that is my job to make the company money. And so, yeah, we'll get a free new cape, maybe, but I think they're playing it very tightly for that reason. Speaking of that, guys, what is this edition of Sweden that plays on the outro? It's actually a custom version of Sweden made by Bolby. He makes 8-bit versions of non-8-bit songs. I really enjoyed it, and so I commissioned this. And if you would like to hear that version, well, wow, here we are at the end of the video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and you would like to. I mean, that goes without saying. And I'll see you all next time after this outro.